Welcome to NarrativeNook where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening. Best 2 out of 3, first one to the finish line takes the crown. You got the rules of the underground street race, right? A little bumping is all in the game. Arabella's lips curled into a smirk. Sure, let's get this show on the road. Seeing Arabella so nonchalant, Harlan couldn't help but chuckle again. Gutsy little thing, he thought, impressed by the young woman's courage. He wondered if she'd keep that cool composure when their cars started trading paint. As he slid into his sleek white sports car, folks from Arabella's crew, the Light Fleet, rallied around her with cheers and support. Go Bella! You've got this! Don't stress it. Even if you lose, Ms. Almond knows how to handle him. No need to play the sacrificial lamb. Knock on wood. What are you even saying? Bella's gonna breeze through to victory. Yeah, Ms. Almond's been talking you up, Bella. That championship is as good as yours. The referee, a leggy dame with a whistle around her neck, piped up, her voice broadcasting through a tiny mic clipped to her collar. Drivers, get ready. Cars will line up at the starting point in 1 minute. Here Bella, have some water first. A Light Fleet member handed her a bottle with the cap already off. Are you nuts? It's freezing out here. Get her some hot coffee or something. Bella, don't sweat it. Let me give you a quick shoulder massage to loosen up. Another crew member reached into the driver's seat to knead her shoulders. Just gotta ask, Bella. Piped up Mignon, her curiosity getting the better of her. Ever been in one of these underground races before? Never. Bella replied, her voice calm and even, adding after a pause, first time. Eyes widened all around, especially Mignon's. She took a good long moment to mentally reassure herself. Well, you must have been in some official races with Ms. Almond, right? Not those either. Arabella said coolly, never been in any race actually. The shock rippled through the crowd again. So Arabella had 0 racing experience? Mignon, refusing to give up hope, prodded further. Then you must be like, a serious car enthusiast, right? You've probably spent a lot of time racing for fun? You're familiar with cars, surely. I know how to move forward, reverse, and brake. The crowd took another deep breath. They were expecting a ringer brought in by Ms. Almond, not a complete novice. So, if you don't mind me asking, Mignon ventured timidly, her heart in her throat, do you have a driver's license? Yes. A collective sigh of relief. At least there was no illegal driving. But tonight's race was fierce. It wasn't just any driver's game. Harlan had left many pros battered and bruised, and some had even landed in the hospital. And Ms. Almond was putting this girl, with no racing chops to speak of, in the hot seat. If Arabella got wrecked, how would they ever explain it to Ms. Almond? Maybe we should let Candace take over. Mignon suggested out of concern about safety. Candace might not be as sharp as Ms. Almond, but she had some racing under her belt and had done her homework on the Kowloon Bay track. Don't worry, Arabella reassured as the clock ticked down, easing her car to the starting line. A red and a white racer revved their engines, primed and ready to set out. The roar of the crowd was relentless, with most of the cheers echoing the name Harlan, the hometown hero and a celebrated racer who had competed in plenty of races and earned his stripes as the deputy captain of the Drift Devils. But Arabella, not a single spectator seemed to know her. Only a scant few voices chanted, "Come on, Light Fleet." Candace tried to keep the spirits up. We've got to trust Ms. Almond's judgment, and have faith in Bella. Mignon wanted to say that she really worried Arabella might get hurt. She knew all too well that Harlan would stop at nothing to win. I'll just go remind Bella to be careful of Harlan. Mignon quickly trotted over to Arabella. Arabella replied with calmness, don't worry about it. Meanwhile, Timothy Bynes received a tip that the mysterious girl who had caused a scene last night was spotted at Kowloon Bay, evidently drawn to the excitement of the night's car race. Her unconventional ways extended even to her hobbies. Timothy raced to the venue, scouring the stands, unable to find the girl with the black mask, no one whose eyes resembled hers. Mr. Bynes, no sign of her. I can't find her over here either. Maybe she hit the restroom? With only 2 cars in the race tonight, Maybe she left early? Not enough action. Mr. Bynes, we've combed through the stands and there's no sign of that lady. Anxiety gripped Timothy. Who was it that said they saw her at Kowloon Bay? Bring them to me. Soon, one of his men approached. Mr. Bynes, it's my day off, and I was just here to enjoy the race when I saw someone who looked like her getting into a red sports car. Why didn't you say so earlier? Timothy snapped, annoyed at the fruitless search. I was about to tell you on the phone when you hung up. The man felt equally aggrieved. Where's the red race car? Before Timothy could finish, one of his men pointed towards the starting line. Mr. Bynes, could it be that one? In the red sports car, a girl sat at the wheel, her window already rolled up, headlights on, but even through the windshield, Timothy could still make out her features. Despite the distance, he could feel her cool, noble aura. It was the same feeling that had hit him the night before. Her hair was up in the same bun, and without the mask, her face seemed quite pretty. Timothy was mesmerized. The overall beauty of her face took him by surprise. Last night, he had thought that even if her face was ordinary beneath the mask, he was keen to meet her. Now, he was utterly smitten. The crowd in front was thick, and Timothy could only stand on the steps, watching her from afar. Which team was she with? Which teams are facing off tonight? Timothy asked one of his men. It's a showdown between the Light Fleet and the local Drift Kings, with Harlan, the deputy captain of the Drifters, seated in the pearly white sports car. As for the driver of the fiery red race car, the identity is a mystery. We don't know her name. Light Fleet have had many matches before, but I've never seen her. No idea if she's a fresh face or someone they've taken as an ace up their sleeve. Some teams have a knack for secretly training exceptional drivers, unveiling them at critical moments to catch their rivals off guard. It could also be that this girl was a recent recruit. She's a racer, Timothy's impression of her growing more favorable by the second. His heart was utterly captivated. He was taken aback that she was not only skillful and beautiful but also a race car driver. Although he couldn't quite make out her features, the mysterious allure exceeded his expectations. Mr. Bynes, she shares your passion for racing. While Timothy was no professional race car driver, he enjoyed the thrill of the race and had gone head-to-head with more than a few rich kids in high-stakes street races. Now, they had something in common to talk about. The tall, leggy starter positioned herself between the two cars, counting down from 3. With a flourish of her flag, the crowd roared in unison 3. As the flag descended once more, the audience shouted 2. The starter sent a flirtatious wink towards Harlan and, with another wave of the flag accompanied by a sharp whistle, signaled 1. Both race cars shot off the line. Harlan flashed a confident grin, certain of his victory in this race. The gust of wind from the cars caused many in the crowd to hold down their skirts and hair. Meanwhile, in a chic 2-story building behind the stands, Sean climbed up to the stand, taking a pair of binoculars from Stewart to get a better look at the red race car. He'd arrived late and missed the earlier drama. All he knew was that at the sound of the whistle, the lady in the red car and Harlan had bolted forward, but she quickly outpaced him, leading the way. She was driving like there was no tomorrow. Harlan hadn't expected Arabella to be such a formidable driver, managing to get ahead of him right from the start. He tried to accelerate to catch up, but Arabella seemed to anticipate his every move, giving him no chance. The whole Light Fleet crew watched, eyes wide and disbelieving, as the race unfolded on the giant screen. Bella said she'd never raced before, right? I thought she claimed to have no experience in official or underground races. How can she dare to go so fast and still drive so well? No wonder Ms. Almond insisted on her joining. There must have been a reason. To think she could leave Harlan in the dust right from the start, even Ms. Almond would be no match for her. How's Harlan gonna save face? I can just picture him fuming in that white race car. Harlan's bound to play dirty. The audience, perhaps not expecting someone from the Light Fleet to overtake Harlan so swiftly, began to root enthusiastically for the underdog. Despite several attempts, Harlan couldn't overtake Arabella. It was her first time on the Kowloon Bay track, yet she drove with such mastery. Had she bribed someone for a sneak preview, or done her homework beforehand? Timothy was stunned. The girl he fancied was outperforming Harlan, a racer with a solid reputation. Beating him was no easy feat, let alone to surpass him so quickly and leave him trailing. "Mr. Bynes, you've certainly got an eye for talent, picking a girl this impressive," the flattery began from his entourage. Timothy's gaze was glued to the red race car on the big screen. As much as he was happy for her, he couldn't shake the worry that her speed was reckless. Silently, he concerned about her safety. Harlan had every intention of playing dirty, but Arabella's car kept picking up speed, and there was no way for him to keep up. Arabella's convertible was red-hot, topping out at 210 miles per hour, while his own beast could hit a solid 220. But no matter how he sped up, he couldn't close the gap. Not even neck and neck. Perhaps it was those few seconds when he eased off the pedal on the curves earlier that had cost him the lead. With his mind straying, he only noticed the rocks on the road when it was almost too late. Swerving to avoid a collision, he got his car skidded, which sent sparks flying as it grazed the guardrail. He corrected his path, but Arabella had already pulled further ahead. This stretch was notorious for occasional rockfalls that could smash a windshield or litter the road, a hazard Harlan usually watched like a hawk during practice and races. But Arabella had thrown him off his game tonight. As Arabella crossed the finish line, the Light Fleet crew erupted in cheers. "Amazing! Bella's on fire. Did we just win?" Light Fleet took the round. The crowd went wild, standing up from their seats and shouting their support. No one expected Light Fleet to bruise the rival team's ego in the first round. Timothy clenched his fist in excitement. Yes, that was freaking awesome. Sean watched the red convertible loop back to the starting line, and Light Fleet folks swarm Arabella in celebration. As the window rolled down, it revealed a face that was new yet stunning. Not the same girl? Who's she? As the crowd around Arabella got too thick, Sean had to head inside to check the monitors after tossing his binoculars to Stewart. "Zoom in." Stewart, knowing who Sean wanted to see, quickly tapped the smart screen on the wall and enlarged the image of the red car. Someone handed the driver a bottle of water, and both Stewart and Sean got a clear view of the girl's face. With sharp features, she gave off an air of cool detachment. That wasn't Light Fleet's Captain Ophelia. She looked more like the girl who'd crashed their party last night. Same bun, same icy stare, same aloof demeanor. If it wasn't her, who else could it be? How could it be her? Stewart was taken aback. Sean came especially to watch the race, yet Ophelia was nowhere to be seen. Where was she? Didn't she covet the Kowloon Bay track? "I'll have her picked up right away." Stewart had been unable to track down the girl, yet here she was, served up on a silver platter. "Let's wait a bit." Sean turned to enter the elevator. "I want to meet her first." Was Sean planning to race her himself? It was widely known that Sean had founded the team, and although he had been the team captain, he'd never led his team to race. It's Harlan, his second-in-command, who typically led the team into games. This girl's driving must have caught Sean's interest. Even though he hadn't led his team to race, Sean had himself competed in plenty of international events. He had another persona, a top-tier professional racer. "Bella, you're incredible," they praised her. "To drive that fast and that well on your first race. You even left Harlan in the dust. I can't believe my eyes, you know? No one's ever outrun Harlan by that much, except for their big boss, Sean." "Sean?" Arabella arched an eyebrow. Why did she keep hearing about Sean over and over again ever since she'd come to Belloria? Was it the same person, or was it different people coincidentally sharing a common name? "No wonder Ms. Almond sent you to save the day, you're like a dark horse. Moments ago, you were playing all humble, claiming you only knew the basics, forward, reverse, braking. But you drive like a pro. You've been flying under the radar, haven't you? Tonight, we're definitely taking down Kowloon Bay." While Arabella's teammates from Light Fleet were cheering for her, Harlan pushed through his consoling friends and stormed toward them with anger written all over his face. He slapped the hood of Arabella's car for emphasis. "Get out!" He cried out with his teeth gritted, regardless of his image, his voice laced with barely contained rage. "You couldn't possibly outdrive me. Tell me the truth, is this car rigged? Turn it off and get out, I want to check." Arabella remained seated in the driver's seat. Ready for the next race, she was not willing to waste time indulging him. Her light fleet crew quickly formed a protective barrier in front of her. "If you want Bella to step out for a check, you'll have to admit that you've been outdriven," one of them said. "Then maybe she'll let you take a look." Harlan was in no mood for chit-chat. He was convinced that Arabella must have modified her car or had insider knowledge of the track's layout. There was no other explanation for how she could beat a professional racer like him, especially when she had never been seen at any racing event before. Something was up. "Our vice captain is telling you to get out. What are you waiting for? If the car's not modified, what are you afraid of? Let's have a look and see if it's been rigged. Get out." The members of the opposing team, one by one, started to press her. Just then, a bold voice rang out from the crowd. "The vice captain of Drift Kings can't handle losing? Making a scene over a girl in front of everyone. Isn't that a bit embarrassing?" Heads turned towards the voice, some with a hint of wariness. Timothy Bynes? Even Harlan's expression soured. Timothy was the sole heir to the Bynes family, a man not to be trifled with. "Mr. Bynes, you might not know this, but this girl, on her first visit to Kowloon Bay, drove like she owned the track, even outpacing me." Harlan forced a smile, but Timothy cut him off. "Sounds like Mr. Harlan was simply outdriven." Harlan's face hardened. "If you wants to check her car, shouldn't you negotiate with her and get her consent, instead of banging on her vehicle and demanding she steps out with a posse? If she's clean, would you be willing to apologize in front of everyone?" Arabella glanced over. A young man stood in front of the spectator stands, whose expensive attire setting him apart from the crowd. Even separated by the protective netting of the racetrack, he still stood out with an air of evident chivalry. His presence commanded respect. "Mr. Bynes?" She'd never heard the name before. Harlan, grasping at straws to justify his loss, insisted, "If I've misjudged her, I'll apologize. But only if she has the guts to step out and let us check." Unexpectedly, Arabella cut the engine, put on a black mask, opened the car door, and stepped out. Timothy hadn't expected the girl to be so slender and so tall. The mysterious allure she had behind the wheel was nothing compared to the real close-up impact of her presence. He couldn't believe how stunning her eyes were. When she was seated in the car, he saw her behind the wheel and caught a glimpse of her face. She was absolutely gorgeous. Last night, all he saw was her agility and deft movements. He didn't expect that when she stood before him, her figure and poise would be so stunning. Timothy was gobsmacked, utterly unable to tear his gaze away until Harlan stepped forward to inspect things. That's when he finally spoke up, "Let someone from another team handle it." Perhaps fearing that Harlan wouldn't be fair, a volunteer from one of the other teams stepped up with an air of eagerness. After a thorough check, he announced, "The turbocharger, the clutch, you name it, it's all stock. Top speed's legit, only 210 miles per hour." "No way." Harlan's face soured, disbelief etched into every line in his face. The results were a slap to his pride. How could it be stock? It couldn't possibly be stock. But the crowd was already jeering at him. "Can't handle losing, eh? Making a fool of yourself, man. They said it's stock. You got beat fair and square by a girl." Lucky he wasn't the one inspecting. He would have claimed it was rigged for sure. "Are we racing or what? I say this round decides it." With her speed, Harlan could race her 10 more times and still lose. "I think we might as well call the results. It's just the Kowloon Bay track. We've got plenty of training grounds. Just give it to her." Then, a voice rippled through the crowd. "The boss is here." Sean approached with an unmistakable authority, his presence parting the onlookers. Harlan perked up, thinking the boss was here to back him. He started, "Boss." But Sean told him to buzz off. Harlan slunk away, while Sean appraised the girl who had captivated everyone's attention. The same striking eyes from last night, hair tied up in a bun, still wearing those little white sneakers. No doubt about it, it was her. "Where's your boss?" Sean didn't care if she was part of the light fleet or not. All he wanted to know was why Ophelia hadn't shown up. "If you're friends, you can ask her in private." If you're not, why should I tell you? Arabella's tone was as cool and detached as her demeanor. Timothy, standing nearby, was struck by how even her voice was so captivating, which further deepened his admiration. How dare you? Do you have any idea who you're talking to? Steward moved to teach the girl a lesson. But Sean just smirked, with a devil-may-care glinting in his eye. If I win, you have to answer that question. Then you'll never know the answer in this lifetime. Sean just chuckled at her response. She was bold, almost like him. You think you can beat our boss? A member of the Drift Kings couldn't hold back his derision. In the eyes of onlookers, she was so naive, still unscathed by the harsh realities of the world, that she was unaware of the caliber of racer standing before her. Can we race now? Arabella was clearly not interested in wasting any more time here. She seemed to not fear him one bit, as if racing him was merely a formality, a pit stop before more pressing matters. Sean laughed. He'd seen confident racers before, but she was something else. Fine, he thought, let's show the little lady that there are always bigger fish. Harlan was taken aback as Sean walked past him and climbed into his car, ready to show everyone just what he was made of. The captain himself was stepping up to the challenge with the girl. Thanks a bunch. Harlan didn't forget to give a grateful bow, shooting a snitching glance at the fiery red sports car parked beside him. Just now she was all fire and brimstone, saying that if any of us from the Drift Kings lose, we'd have to crawl from the starting line to the finish. That was your deal, not mine, Sean retorted and rolled up his window indifferently. Harlan hadn't expected the captain to be just as tough to talk to as ever. He'd actually been touched a moment ago because he thought the captain had come forward to save his bacon and to smack down the girl's pride for him. Guess he thought too much. The leggy ref stood between the two cars, blew a whistle, and motioned for the onlookers to clear out to the sides. Bella. Mignon intended to warn Arabella that this Sean was no joke. He'd never lost an international race, and he always left a mile-wide gap between him and second place. But right then, she didn't dare step forward, afraid of piling on the pressure and throwing Arabella off her game. Go Bella. Candace from the Light Fleet cheered at the top of her lungs, you've got this. The rest of the Light Fleet crew joined in the rallying cry, Bella go go go. None of the other spectators, though, dared to echo the chants, not even mustering the courage to cheer for Light Fleet. But the Drift Kings was another story. They were all over it, leading everyone in a chant of Sean. 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 Their spirit was undeniable. In contrast, the support for Bella seemed a bit thin on the ground. With the countdown at 3 seconds, the Light Fleet folks held their breath in suspense. 3, 2, 1. The two cars burst from the starting line, stirring up a breeze that had the girls clutching their skirts and hair. What do we do, Candace? Mignon fretted, watching the red sports car zoom away. I'm so worried about Bella. No race has ever made the Drift King's big boss show up himself. If Bella loses, losing Kowloon Bay track is the least of our troubles. What if they force Bella to hang with Harlan? Should we tell Ms. Almond and get her to step in? No need, don't worry Ms. Almond. Let's just watch and see, Candace replied, trying to keep cool, though inside she was somewhat anxious. After all, Sean's reputation was no small thing. They knew Sean was an ace behind the wheel, a true champion, but they didn't know he was the Sean of the Collins family. Because the international races he competed in were those with low-slung cars, the kind where you have to wear a safety helmet. And with his temperament, he never did any media interviews. So almost no one had seen his face beneath the helmet. Even today, despite seeing him in person, the audience at sight knew only that he was handsome and a bit aloof, but not his true identity. The giant screen showed that Sean's speed was just a tad faster than Arabella's. But Arabella wasn't showing any signs of fear. After a few hair-raising bends, she actually pulled ahead of Sean. Everyone was in disbelief. Someone was actually outpacing Sean. Was this girl playing with her life? Did she have a death wish? Sean tried to overtake, but when he veered left, Arabella's car swerved left. When he tried right, she went right. Hair. Sean smirked. He stepped his foot heavy on the gas as he nearly kissed her rear bumper, but she didn't flinch, nor even budge. Arabella was certain. He was the leader, so he had to value his life more than she did. He wouldn't dare risk both their lives to crash into her. At such breakneck speeds, a collision would spell doom for both the drivers and their cars on the spot. Sean could tell that Arabella was no ordinary girl. Belied her youthful appearance was nerves of steel. As they approached the next hairpin turn, Arabella intended to hug the curve with the tightest arc possible, but Sean had other plans. He widened his trajectory, aiming to overtake her on the outside. Arabella saw him coming and, once again, blocked him. Even as Sean's car nearly scraped the guardrail, she didn't flinch, but drew a beautiful arc so close to the barrier that the crowd held its breath. To ride that close to the guardrail was flirting with disaster. A miscalculation could send her crashing through and tumbling down the slope. But the pair's driving skills were as breathtaking as they were precise. The audience was on the edge of their seats, erupting into cheers as the cars left the bend safely and continued down the track. This was racing at its finest. Pure skill on display. Some spectators had seen their fair share of street races, but nothing had come close to the spectacle they were witnessing tonight. Arabella managed to keep her lead. But Sean was hot on her tail, forcing Arabella to tap her brakes ever so slightly. She wasn't intended to slow down but to flash her brake lights. Sean would see the lights and instinctively hit his brakes to avoid a collision. Arabella stepped her foot on the brake for less than a second, and repeated it a few times. She knew she was gaining precious seconds over Sean with each tap of the brakes. Sean was relentless in pursuit. Just then, Arabella suddenly moved aside, and in the next instant, Sean spotted a rock in his path. At such high speeds, maneuvering was out of the question. He braced as the car rumbled over the rock and slowed down. The low clearance of his sports car caused the rock to scrape the undercarriage, but Sean only eased off the speed briefly before he accelerated again. If that girl had any malice, she could have guided Sean's tires right over that rock. In such case his car could have flipped, and it could have been fatal. But she blocked his view, steering him towards safety. A rock scraping the bottom won't flip a car, but if it scraped the tires, it would certainly take a hit. She intended to make him slow down, but not to take his life. There's some kindness in her. In comparison, that Harlan's race tactics were just unsportsmanlike. Totally. I'm starting to warm up to Light Fleet. Me too. The finish line was drawing near. Arabella floored it, now with a decent lead over Sean. She knew that even if he pushed his car to the limit, he wouldn't be able to pass her in under 10 seconds. Once her tires crossed the finish line, and the giant screen lit up with virtual confetti, the stands erupted in cheers. Arabella had won. She had actually beaten Sean, the Drift King's lead driver, and clinched first place. Ah, Bella won. She actually defeated Sean. We Light Fleet has won 2 races in a row. This is amazing. Kowloon Bay is ours. The Light Fleet crew hugged each other, being elated beyond words. The Drift Kings, on the other hand, was staring in shock and disbelief at the giant screen. Sean's car had just crossed the finish line and came to a halt. Perhaps due to the shock of being overtaken for the first time in his life, Sean just sat there at the finish line, lost in his thought. Sean lost? The Sean who had won countless international awards was bested by an unknown girl. How could this be? Was there a mistake? At that moment, Arabella called Candace, letting her know she'd be taking a different route home and leaving the rest to the Light Fleet team to handle. No problem. Candace's voice rang with excitement. Bella, we're gonna treat you to dinner, all of us. Seriously, can't thank you enough for today. After she hung up, some members of the Light Fleet were all over her, dying to know what Arabella had said on the phone. Candace just told them she had left. I wanted to pick her brain about racing. I wanted to grab a selfie with her. I wonder if she'd join Light Fleet. I wanted to be her friend. Shouldn't we be sharing the good news with Ms. Almond right away? Yeah, let's shoot Ms. Almond a video call, tell her we won. Stewart couldn't remember the last time he'd seen Sean take a hit like this, especially not from a girl like Arabella. But a hit was a hit. Sean had given strict orders to dump the girl at that hill and strip her of her pride. So there he was, Stewart, with his goons, waiting at the starting line for Arabella to walk right into their trap. But as he waited, there was no sign of the red sports car returning, not even the hum of its engine. Ever since the red car had taken a different path down the hill, it hadn't come back. Could it be she wasn't planning on returning? As he pondered this, one of his men came up to him. "Steward, the girl's left." "What did you say?" "She took another road." Steward's world spun. Sean had been defeated by her, and his mood was bound to be foul. If Steward didn't catch the girl to soothe Sean's anger, then that anger would be directed squarely at him. This was bad. At that moment, Sean's car rolled back to the starting point. The crowd fell silent, not daring to cheer or even breathe too loudly, terrified of becoming the target of Sean's rage. They wished that they could just vanish into thin air. Sean got out of the car with a poker face that betrayed no emotions, which only added to the ominous atmosphere. "Sean, she took another road." Steward approached tentatively and reported. "And you didn't bring her back? Do I have to chase her down myself?" Steward wanted to say that even Sean himself couldn't make it catching her. Hadn't he just lost to her? But all he could muster was a meek, "I'll get my men on it right away." As Sean strode towards the building, Steward blurted out, "Oh, Sean." Sean's icy gaze was piercing. Steward shivered. Her driving skills are so good. Before he could finish, Sean's eyes grew even colder. "I mean, if Ms. Almond values her skills, should we really bring her back?" Sean's voice was chilling. "What do you think?" Steward wanted to say that he had no clue what Sean was thinking, but it then occurred to him that they had lost their lead on the demon ring because of that girl last night, and now she had beaten them on their own Kowloon Bay track. If he didn't bring her in to let Sean give vent to his anger, he'd be the one in the crosshairs. But what if Sean wanted to pursue her later? If they did make a spectacle of her and it was found out by Ms. Almond, would it leave a bad impression on her and create a rift between them? He sighed internally. Best to capture her first and figure out the rest later. "Oh right, Sean." Steward couldn't help himself and blurted out again. Perhaps afraid of testing Sean's patience, he rushed his words. "We lost, and according to the bet, Harlan's got a crawl from the starting line to the finish line while cursing himself as a lowlife." Should he intervene? If Sean stepped in, Lightfleet sure as heck wouldn't let Harlan crawl. But Sean didn't even look back. As he walked away, he said coldly, "Let him crawl and then kick him out of the team." He had no intention of keeping him around. Ever since he founded the team, Sean never led his team into any races. Instead, he always sent Harlan to represent them. Perhaps because of this, Harlan got cocky. As he thought Sean really valued him, he became more and more self-important, so much so that he played around with women, got drunk and caused scenes from time to time. But due to the team's rep, Harlan was never held accountable every time he stirred up troubles. Now he's gone too far, making bets he can't honor. He brought this on himself. Harlan's loss to Arabella and that fit he threw was a total embarrassment to the Drift Kings. How could Sean possibly let him stay to keep losing face for the team and playing the big shot? There's a saying that goes like, "You've made your bed, now lie in it." Since he's so keen on digging his grave, let him dig it far away. At that moment, Harlan realized the boss had left, who showed no intention of bailing him out of this mess. Although he could understand the boss's frustration with the loss, it would be out of the question for him to crawl from start to finish. He was the vice captain, for crying out loud. When Harlan tried to leave, Candace stepped in front with some crew members and blocked his path. "You gotta pay up when you lose." "Get out of my way," Harlan spat, with no sign of a sunny disposition. Seeing they wouldn't budge, he snapped, "We already gave you the track as a handout, what more do you want?" "It's not a handout, we Lightfleet won it fair and square. If you're up to it, try winning it back." "Fair's fair, don't tell me you don't honor your word." Candace crossed her arms, demanding that he keep his promise. Just now, thousands of eyes saw and thousands of ears heard that, you Harlan, boasted that if you lost, you'd crawl from start to finish while yelling you're a lowlife. He deserved it. It's the consequence of him being so flippant and touching a woman's chin on a whim. If it weren't for Bella stepping in, who knows what might have happened. Candace knew that Bella's bet was actually a way to stand up for her, and while she was internally grateful, she firmly said, "Today you have to crawl to the end, or we all won't let you off the hook." The crowd started chanting,
Crawl, crawl, crawl. I'm not crawling, what are you gonna do about it? Harlan, relying on his status of being the vice captain, spoke defiantly. At this point, the Drift King's members heard that he was soon to be fired and abandoned by Sean, so they stepped back one by one, no longer willing to be his strong support. People from Light Fleet slowly surrounded Harlan. Are you gonna crawl or not? Harlan didn't expect that the friends who stood behind him just a moment ago had now vanished. Suddenly, he felt a bit cowardly. Some audience who disliked him spontaneously closed in while laying into him. Are you a man or what? Your word's as good as a fart. If you have any guts, crawl from the start to the finish, and I'll respect you as a real man. You're a disgrace to men everywhere.
For listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.